think, act, and prosper. You are now tuned into the Money Level Show.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Money Level Show. So today I'm going to talk about why I stopped following Dave Ramsey. Now don't get me wrong, Dave Ramsey has some great concepts that have helped me in my financial journey, and I remember when I first started following Dave Ramsey, a friend of mine just invited me to the course, me and my wife, and he said that, hey, I think this will be beneficial for you guys. He paid for the course, and we went through the course, and it was just absolutely life-changing because I've never thought of money in this way. I never thought of budgeting. I never thought of giving every dollar a job. I never thought of getting out of debt, all those different things, and it just gave me a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. However, as I began to even teach Dave Ramsey and I began to teach it in my church and things like that, it was really helpful. I mean, you had a great community that was focused on paying down debts and things like that. Where I came to a roadblock with Dave Ramsey was when it came to investing. And so a lot of Dave Ramsey's teachings teaches to get out of debt before you invest. I personally don't agree with that anymore. And why I don't agree with that is because that it depends on how much debt you have. I mean, if you have a lot of debt, I have some friends that have $90,000 in debt, medical debt, and I don't foresee them ever getting out of that position for a long time. So if you don't invest, then how are you expecting to retire? How are you expecting to build wealth for yourself when you're trying to pay down this debt for long periods of time? So that was one thing that I disagreed with as I began to learn more about investing. Dave Ramsey is extremely against debt. However, I believe that debt can be good in a lot of ways. When you use OPM, which is called other people's money, and you use other people's money to buy assets that are going to make you money. And so I learned a lot of this from Robert Kiyosaki, who is the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, who used the bank's money to buy rental properties, to get tenants in those rental properties and be able to make wealth and build wealth for him and his family. And a lot of people have done this when they have gotten into real estate investing. They've taken on extra debt to be able to do this, to be able to use the bank's money to make them money. However, this is done through an LLC. It's not done through a personal social security number, and you don't want to be in a position to where you're owning a lot of properties and your social security number, under your social security number, and you have all that risk that can come in if a tenant wants to sue you or things like that. They can come after anything that you have that is tied to your social security number. Those are a couple reasons of why I stopped following Dave Ramsey. Another reason is that Dave Ramsey invests in a lot of mutual funds. And so mutual funds, they are good, for a lot of people. I mean, you've seen them increase in value and all those things, but a lot of mutual funds, they add companies that are not good companies to those funds. For example, so Warren Buffett, a famous investor, he does a lot of valuation of stocks, and he checks out the price to earnings ratios of stocks and things like that, and he finds good value companies that are going to make him money in the long term. So mutual funds such as the S&P 500, they recently added Tesla to the fund. And so a lot of people are running into Tesla. Tesla's being overvalued. Tesla has 1,700 and something PE ratio, price to earnings ratio. And Warren Buffett normally invests in things that are below 20, about 20 or 30 PE ratio. So you see Tesla is hugely overvalued because there's a lot of speculation on the Green New Deal. There's a lot of speculation on what's happening in the future and things like that. So Tesla only produces about 500,000 cars per year. Tesla has debt, and Tesla has been valued extremely higher than the other powerhouse car companies, such as Toyota, that has been around for decades, Ford, Mercedes, Honda, all these different car companies. Tesla has just skyrocketed past them. And this company is being very overvalued because of the speculation in it. So the S&P 500, which is a mutual fund, added Tesla to the mutual fund. And of course, like mutual funds are to diversify and eliminate much risk And that is the purpose of mutual funds, is that a lot of people have gotten lazy and they don't want to actually research stocks. They don't want to research companies and find the valuation and good companies and things like that. They rather just put their money in a mutual fund, and that mutual fund handles what companies go into that mutual fund. And those companies could be bad companies. Some of those companies could be good companies, but they're supposed to balance each other out. So Dave Ramsey has this approach of doing mutual fund investing. And me personally, I like to actually look at companies' balance sheets. I like to look at their business models. Who's the CEO? What's their history? What's their valuation? Are they cheap? Are they expensive? Are they overvalued? Things like that. How much dividends they pay? All those different types of things. That is things that I like to look at when I'm investing in a company. And investing in mutual funds does not give you the ability to do that, because they select which companies are going into that mutual fund. So that is another reason why I stopped following Dave Ramsey in regards to investing. Another reason why I stopped following Dave Ramsey is because I began to learn from people that were more wealthier than Dave Ramsey, and they had difference of opinions than Dave Ramsey. And so I began to look at, okay, what are the contrary opinions of people that have success like Dave Ramsey, such as Grant Cardone, such as Warren Buffett, such as Robert Kiyosaki, all these different people that have a lot of money, and they have a different perspective on getting wealthy than Dave Ramsey has. I believe that Dave Ramsey serves his purpose, but if you're trying to get to an extremely high level of wealth, you got to look at people that are at that extreme high level of wealth and what they are saying as well. One other reason that I stopped following Dave Ramsey is his opinion on gold. I mean, his opinion on gold, I extremely disagree with. He says it's just a pet rock, or it's a rock that looks good. I believe that's Warren Buffett said that as well. But Dave Ramsey has some of the same perspectives on gold. But when you look at the value of the dollar decreasing, the dollar has lost 96% of its value since the creation of the Federal Reserve. So why would I keep my money in dollars in the savings account rather than store some of it in gold? That just doesn't make sense to me. So that is a major reason why I stopped following Dave Ramsey as well. As you begin to get in this journey and begin to learn from different investors, different mentalities and things like that, you will begin to open yourself up to see like, okay, wow, like this isn't the only way. And I believe that Dave Ramsey is good for a lot of people, especially people starting off and people needing to get some self-discipline in their finances and learning more about money and things like that. But Dave Ramsey isn't the only way to get wealthy. So that is some reasons why I stopped following Dave Ramsey. So if you stop following Dave Ramsey, or if you do follow him, why you still follow him or whatnot, feel free to leave that down in the comment section below so that we can engage in discussion and things like that. That would be great. So I thank you all for tuning in to the Money Level Show, and you all have a good day and a good new year.